Welcome back to This Week in High School Sports. We're hanging out in Mountlake Terrace today at our show sponsor, Red Onion Burgers, and with us the owner, Sean Richards. Sean, people think of Red Onion Burgers and they think obviously burgers, it's in the name, shakes, fries, other things, but you're so much more than that.
We are. We offer barbecue ribs, our world famous red Cobb salad. Ooh. With turkey and ham.
Healthy options, I like it.
Healthy options, and we also offer paninis, fresh fruit, and smoothies, and so much more, so come on by.
21005 44th Avenue, Mountlake Terrace.
Welcome to This Week in High School Sports. I'm Teresa Whipple here with Steve Willits, and you've got a lot of energy today.
I do. There's been a lot going on in the world of high school sports.
Yeah.
The winter sports are wrapping up, and a couple of the sports in particular just concluded this weekend. Wrestling and swimming, will have more to come on both of those later on in the show.
Okay, but we got basketball first, right, to talk about?
We do have basketball. Mountlake Terrace boys and Linwood girls, to be more precise, both of which advanced to regionals, both making it through their district tournaments, neither of which took the easy road, as we've talked about in the past year. Mountlake Terrace losing last week to put them into the consolation bracket at the District 1 2A boys tournament. They had to win 3 games this past week. They really had to win 2 games to get in, but the third game was a bonus. So they knocked off Lakewood, top-ranked Anacortes, and Burlington Edison, and they will be advancing into the regional tournament. The nice thing about Mountlake Terrace, too, is that they're one of the top 8 ranked teams in the state, which means even though they're playing a regional game, they're going to advance to the Yakima Sun Dome regardless to whether or not they win or lose. Winning is still advantageous because it would get them a bye through the first round. But either way, Mountlake Terrace is heading off to regionals next week, and we'll put the information up there on the screen as to who they're playing and where. But the following week, they will be, in fact, making a trip to the Yakima Sun Dome.
Very, very cool.
It's very cool indeed. And then the Linwood girls, maybe the surprise team of the year.
Yeah.
We talked about them on the show last week after they knocked off Edmonds-Woodway in the first round. Linwood then lost their semifinal game of districts to Shorecrest. And then we thought, okay, well, that was a nice story, them beating Edmonds-Woodway, but the season's probably about to come to an end. No, it wasn't. Linwood then goes into the consolation bracket. They knock off an Arlington team that had already defeated them earlier in the year. As a matter of fact, they beat Arlington 59-53, and Arlington had defeated them 59-52, so we almost just reversed the scores. And then they had to go up against Edmonds-Woodway one more time with a regional playoff spot on the line. Winner to regionals, loser goes home. And that was on Saturday, and for the second time in about, 8 or 9 days, the Linwood Royals defeat the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors, thus ending the season for Coach John Rasmussen and his girls. But again, an Edmonds-Woodway team that's very young, so we expect them to do big things into the future. But the Linwood Royals, they advanced to regionals, and in doing so, we're going to put up a picture on the screen right now. We're going to provide our Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Game, or Player of the Week award to Nakia Boston. She had 28 points in that game against Edmonds-Woodway to help them advance. So congratulations to Nakia. And hey, while we're at it, let's throw up another picture. Earlier this week, we were able to catch up with 2 previous Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week winners that had not received their t-shirts yet. Nakia's teammates, Amaya Kirkman and Rachel Walsh, we were able to get them their shirts. So a lot of Action Jackson Plumbing apparel now floating through the Royals locker room, and hopefully they're able to add more shirts to their collection as perhaps maybe a state participant shirt if they can get through their regional game. And we're going to put the matchup for them coming up this week. That's a loser-out game, too. If they win next weekend, they will advance to state. If they lose, their season will come to an end. Regardless of if whether or not they win or lose, though, this is a team that's already gone a lot further than we thought they would this year. So to Coach Brandon Newby and the girls, congratulations on a very successful weekend.
Yeah, it was really interesting to read some of the quotes from the coach and the players that we had on our websites, just talking about the fact that nobody really took them seriously in Linwood, that they didn't think they were going to go very far, and now here they are.
No, they were the number 7 seed going into a tournament that provides 3 advancement places to regionals. So really, I think a lot of folks thought we could already kind of pencil in the top 3 seeds because over the course of the regular season, it was Snohomish, Edmonds-Woodway, and Stanwood that kind of dominated that league. So we thought, well, we'd be shocked if it's anything but those 3 teams. And as it turns out, Snohomish and Edmonds-Woodway both sent packing. So for Linwood to still be standing after it's all said and done, huge accomplishment for the Royals.
Yeah, and as you said, Edmonds-Woodway has no seniors on their
Not-
team,
not-
so
not one.
they have a lot to look forward to, too.
They are a team that I think a lot of us are already expecting to not only do well next year, but to go very far. So we'll see what they can do to build upon that. And again, with a coach like John Rasmussen, I think the Warriors' future is bright, and they'll do all right.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk wrestling.
Wrestling, state championships over the weekend. We had 5 different wrestlers in the Edmonds School District place at the Matt Classic down in the Tacoma Dome. We'll mention 2 of them really quick. Arya Zarai from Meadowdale. He took 4th place in the 132-pound weight class. Renee Mack, who we've had on the show also, along with Arya. Renee took 7th place in his weight class for Mount Lake Terrace. And then we had 3 Edmonds-Woodway wrestlers finish in their top 8 in their respected weight classes. Rather than tell you about them and how they did, why not hear from them directly? We had Grayson, Salihou, and Howie all in studio. Here's the interview we had with the 3 Edmonds-Woodway wrestlers who all had fantastic weekends down in the Tacoma Dome. Matt Classic, the Washington State High School Wrestling Championships, took place over the weekend in the Tacoma Dome. And with us right now, 3 members of the Edmonds-Woodway wrestling team, all 3 of which placed this year. We're going to introduce them right now. Salihou Fatih, down on the end there, he is a senior. He took 5th place in the state in his weight class. Howie Hare, the sophomore, taking 8th place. And Grayson LeCompte, 3rd place. Guys, congratulations. Before we get into your actual matches this week, Salihou, anytime you get to Matt Classic, it's a big deal. One of the premier wrestling tournaments really in the nation, the way it's set up. This is your 3rd time now. Is it any less special than it is the first 2 times? Because I've got to think it always has meaning, right?
Yeah, it's always special, especially just because it's such a big stage. And just it's just like there's so many mats and so many people there that's always fun to wrestle in that environment.
And Howie and Grayson, for you two, this is your 2nd trip each. Is it easier the 2nd time than it is the first time, Howie, just knowing that you've already been there once and you've already kind of got the jitters up?
Yeah, it's less nervous the 2nd time. You kind of know what to expect when you get in there and seeing all the mats and all the people. It's a little overwhelming the first time.
I can imagine. Grayson, do you remember the first time you stepped onto a mat in the Tacoma Dome and what that was like?
Yeah, it was the practice the night before, and it was like mats forever. Like it was kind of hard to get it.
It's like 24 or 28 mats, right? So it's unlike really anything you guys see elsewhere.
Yeah.
Can it be a little bit when you're involved in a match? Is it distracting with so much going on around you, Howie? I mean, is it easy to kind of focus on just the guy in front of you, or is there just feel like there's everybody kind of crashing down on you?
You don't notice, or at least I don't notice anything else aside from a match.
And Grayson, are you the same way? Is it pretty easy to block out?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to block out. Like, yeah.
So Edmonds-Woodway, a team that has achieved a lot of success over the years, a team that's used to sending multiple wrestlers to state. And I've got to think, Salihou, it's kind of a special time when you guys get down there because not only are you wrestling for yourself, you're wrestling for your teammates. What does it mean to be part of the Edmonds-Woodway team during Matt Classic?
It's really special just because we've had so many just great wrestlers, and we always just have such a good team, and we always do so well at regionals, and it's like, I don't know, it's really cool just to know that you're a part of something bigger than you just yourself.
And
so that's really cool to know.
I can imagine, indeed it is. So let's talk a little bit about your experiences this year. Howie, for you wrestled down there last year. It's a double elimination, so you went 0-2 last year. You get victories this year, and you get to actually place. There's top 16 in the state go each year, and you finished 8th this time around. Tell me a little bit about what it's like to find yourself on the winning end of things there. It's got to be just incredibly fulfilling knowing that you're going against the top wrestlers in the state, right?
Yeah, it feels a lot better getting somewhere, knowing I get my name on the wall at the end of the season. It's nicer than going 0-2.
So for the 120-pound category that you were in, did you know very many of the wrestlers coming in, or did you know anything about them?
I knew a couple of people like Brandon Kaler, Bryce Miller, some of the top guys there. You hear about them, but I didn't know a lot about other people. And
you had an interesting first match of the tournament. You won on disqualification because your opponent bit you on the arm. Is that doesn't happen very often, does it, in wrestling?
No.
Were you surprised when that happened?
A little bit. I was kind of cross-facing him a lot, and it makes people mad. So.
Can you, Grayson? Can you speak to that when somebody cross faces you? What does that mean, and how does that make you feel?
It's annoying 'cause you just put your wrist right across there. right across your jaw. It's pretty painful.
So in doing so, he got disqualified for the entire tournament, right, Howie?
Yeah.
So when it happened, did you know right away that I think I just won this match, or what was that moment like?
Well, it happened, and then we just kind of kept on wrestling, and I was fine with that. So, and then in between the second and third round, Alfie told me to show the ref, and then that happened.
So the bite marks were there, and that was it. He was gone.
Yeah.
So very interesting first way to start off your tournament. So Lou, how about you? Tell me about your first day this year and how things went for you.
First match, I had a rematch my fourth place match from last year, and so that was a really tough match to have first round, and I won that one. That was really cool. And then the second match, I had like the returning state champ, and I lost, and so I had to regroup and come back and like try to make day two. And then after that, I had another tough match, and that kid was the kid who took second last year at state, and so one of us wasn't gonna be able to place, and so I definitely had to bring it, and so I won that match. It was another close match, and then I made day two.
So the guys that you wrestled, one took third in state last year,
Yeah.
one was a state champ, and one took second.
Yeah.
Not an easy bracket to go through then.
No, my bracket had I think 11 placers out of 16 wrestlers, so three kids weren't gonna place again.
And the guy that you wrestled in the first round match, then the third, fourth place. I know you took fourth last year, so that
Yeah.
tells me immediately he beat you last year.
Yeah,
So
he beat me.
kind of nice to get some redemption on him.
Yeah. Last year I didn't wrestle very well in that match, and it was just really cool to come back and beat him. So.
And we should mention too, not probably one of your favorite moments, but you did lose to Aria Zerai over at Meadowdale.
Yeah.
You and Aria, are you getting tired of wrestling each other? It seems like every week we're looking at regionals or districts, and you guys are going head to head.
Yeah, we wrestled a lot this year, so yeah, we're pretty familiar with each other, and so yeah, I mean it happens though. People wrestle a lot, so like a lot, especially if you're in the same districts, regionals, and you're like up like 2 miles away from each other. So it's
You're gonna
pretty
see
common.
them?
Yeah, you see them a lot.
Hey, Grayson, what about you coming into this particular weekend? You were in the 126-pound category. Did you know some of these wrestlers? Had you experienced matches against any of them before?
The only one I've wrestled was Evan Tracy from Bonnie Lake, and I knew about Blake Haney from Mount Spokane, but other than that, I didn't really know anybody. So
Is that a pro or a con? I mean, do you like when you have a chance? And maybe I'll ask all three of you guys this. Obviously, you can flip it around and say they don't know you either. But would you rather have knowledge of the guy you're going against, or is it sometimes better just to have two people get in there that have no idea who the other one is and just see what happens?
I like not knowing the guy because it's like just gotta take it next match at the time. You know?
And you can surprise him as well as he can surprise you.
Yeah.
Howie, what about you? Do you have a
Yeah,
preference?
I like not knowing. You just get to wrestle how you're gonna wrestle and don't have to worry about anything else.
So, Lou, are you going to make that a clean sweep across the table here?
Yeah, I think I'd rather not know, just because you focus more on yourself instead. Because when you think about like the other person you're wrestling more, it's like then you're not really focused on what you're gonna do. You're more focused on them, and that's always a bad thing.
Makes sense. So for you, and you mentioned Blake Haney a minute ago, Grayson, you took third in state this year. Blake ends up winning the state championship. You lost to him in the semifinals. You then have to regroup and wrestle for third and fourth place. Once you advance that far along into the tournament and you have a loss like that, how easy is it to regroup, and what do you need to do to get yourself focused for another match moving forward?
I just took like 10, 15 minutes and just kind of like try to let all my emotions out and then just regroup and then think about the next match and next round.
And so, Lou, you've had some experience with this, obviously, your third year at the Tacoma Dome. And for you, once you get into that consolation bracket, again, it's double elimination, but you have to win a number of matches. You ended up going 4-2 on the weekend.
Yeah.
What is it like having to come up through that consolation bracket into a... I would imagine the periods in between recovery are much shorter, right?
Yeah, consolation is definitely tougher. You only have 1 minute first rounds too in your matches, so like every single point matters. Just because you have less time, you have less time to recover, and they call it like the blood rounds, or like they call it like this is it's just way different than championship. Just because you've already lost, and so it's like do or die time basically.
Yeah, definitely. So the three of you are in weight categories that follow each other. So we've got Howie 120. Grayson, you're 126. Salihou, you're 132. The fact that you're so close in weight, do the three of you wrestle against each other a lot in practice? Because I've got to think with three top caliber type of wrestlers like yourself, I've got to think having each other on the same team helps one another too, right? And Grayson, maybe I'll start with you since you're one weight below Salihou and one weight above Howie. Do you see these guys in practice a lot?
Yeah, I gotta wrestle both of them.
Yeah, and does it make you a better wrestler?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, having better practice partners helps a lot.
And Howie, what about you as the young guy of the table here as a sophomore? Does it help going against a guy that's capable of competing for a state championship to go against in practice?
Yeah, it definitely helps. You get used to wrestling people like that and get used to seeing good people. It helps.
Salihou, same question. I would imagine you two are 2 weight classes apart, so maybe Howie and Salihou, I would think that maybe the two of you aren't wrestling as much, but are you wrestling with Grayson as well?
Yeah, I wrestle Grayson probably almost every day, and it definitely helps just because it's always good to wrestle someone that's always really good. Just because when you go out in matches, it's just like the same as practice. Because you know that the kid you're wrestling is probably just as good as your practice partner.
Very nice. And you guys aren't just getting it done on the match, you're getting it done in the classroom too. 2 of your teammates, Simon Lee and Robbie Simonton, winning the state championship for academics wrestling this year. I got to think that's a pretty cool moment. Were you guys excited for them when you heard that they won that state championship? And Salihou, I'll ask you because you mentioned that one of them wasn't even really a surprise, right?
Yeah. So yeah, we definitely knew Simon was gonna win it just because he already had a 4.0, and the other kid in the 152-pound weight class who took second was also on our team, and that was Cole, and he had a 4.39 something as well. And so we knew they were gonna win it, and Simon won it the year before too, and Cole won it the year before, and Jenners is also academic state champ from last year, and so like it was just super cool because they get their name up on the wall as well, and it's just super cool because people just think of our team as not just like wrestlers, but also like good people who like also do well in the classroom.
And we mentioned Robbie a minute ago winning it. Robbie's kind of a cool story in the sense that I understand he didn't even win a single match his freshman year, and for him to qualify for the state tournament, Grayson, I've got to think that's pretty inspiring for a lot of guys on the team, knowing that you can actually make that jump if you work hard, right?
Yeah, we got a lot of stories like that. Alfie will tell us stories during practice. Like almost every name on the wall has a story like that.
Of where they've come from and where they were before they got there, and just how hard the work pays off. And how hard is it? Because I've got to think that Coach Alfie and the rest of the coaches put you guys through a pretty rigorous training regimen during the season. How tough are practices?
It can be pretty tough. It's a lot of wrestling, a lot of conditioning sometimes.
Is it sometimes more conditioning than wrestling, or is it usually does it kind of vary a little bit depending on the day? Or
Yeah, it's usually more wrestling, and then we use a lot of the wrestling just as conditioning too.
how important are the coaches to you guys? Well, maybe we'll start with Coach Alfie. Grayson, what has he meant to your development and where you are right now?
He's been a lot. He's been in my life he's a family friend, so he's been there like my whole life, and I don't really know how to explain it.
Yeah.
He's like helped me through a lot of things.
Nice. Salihou, Coach Alfie, some of the other coaches, tell me a little bit about them. And what
They kind of took me under their wing freshman year, and they've done a lot for me and my family. They're kind of like the second like dad for me. Like just the opportunities they've given us. Like they took us. Alfie's taken us to California, and he took us to Disneyland sophomore year. And it's like stuff that he doesn't have to do, but like he does for us. And he gets us so many matches, and he like just the things that he does for us, like buying us new singlets this year, or just like I don't know. He just really like drives forward, like puts the theme of our program is that if you work hard, you'll get what you deserve and stuff like that. And so I just really appreciate the things he does for just everyone on the team.
And who are the other coaches that have helped you along the way as well?
We have like 14 coaches, but definitely the ones that probably help like the most are probably Coach Voulier, Coach Ray, Coach Alfie, Coach Josh, Coach Sherry. There's definitely more. Coach Tom, Coach Riley, Coach Chris. There's a ton of coaches that I can name off, but they've all helped so much.
Do different coaches work with different weight classes? Is that kind of the way it works?
Coach Marquise, he works with Generous a lot, and Coach Sherry works with me, and I know Coach Josh works with the lighter kids all the time too, and so like even people that don't coach, they still come in like alumni.
Mm-hmm.
So people who used to wrestle, they come in and help out too. So it's like a really close community.
You're going to be one of those alumni next year. Will we expect to see you back in the? I know you've got other siblings at the school, so.
Yeah, I'll definitely come back and wrestle.
And for you, being the senior of the group here, 4 straight Wesco titles. Mm-hmm. How important was it for you to keep that tradition alive for Edmonds-Woodway before you graduated?
It was really cool, just because Alfie was telling us we would be the first class to do it. And I just, like, sophomore year, we had a really, really good team, and we had, like, 6, 7 placers. And so, like, we just kind of, like, after that year, we kind of just jumped onto the scene, and ever since then, we haven't really been losing Wesco matches.
No looking back. You two now have to carry the torch, so to speak, moving forward. So Salihou will be gone. Howie, Grayson, tell me a little bit about some of the younger guys who are in the program, and what can we expect from Edmonds-Woodway wrestling next year?
Expect good things. We got a lot of good lightweights coming in, so that'll be good.
Howie, what about who are some of the guys that are out there right now that are freshmen or sophomore who we can maybe watch in the future?
We got Baylor. He should do pretty well next year. Reese, grow a little bit. He could do pretty good too.
And you do see a lot of growth, right? The bodies change and weight divisions change over the time too as well, right? So.
Yeah.
So we'll see how these guys end up doing here. As far as now that the state tournament's done, do you guys get to change your eating habits? I know that's always a big thing, making weight. I understand there was a Saturday night pizza gathering after the state tournament, and then you have Monday off of school. Did I hear right, plans of getting together and just go ahead and gorging and eating whatever you want, Salihou? Is that the plan?
For sure. Yeah, the goal is to try to eat as much food as possible. We're trying to make that happen. But yeah, also last night, we always go to Cabela's in Edmonds, and one of our former teammates, they own the restaurant, and so we all go there and eat a ton of pizza, and it's just such a good time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you, Howie, do you have a go-to food that you eat after a big match or when you don't have to worry about weight?
Not really. It's kind of whatever's available.
Yeah.
First thing you see.
Are you a sweet eater or are you a meat and potatoes guy? What are you looking for?
I'll kind of eat everything.
Everything and anything.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of being young right there. Grayson, what about you? What's your go-to food?
It's definitely something cheesy.
Cheesy?
Yeah.
So you were okay with the Cabela's trip?
Definitely.
Feeling pretty good about that. They're feeling good overall anyway. A huge weekend for these guys. Again, all three of them placing at the tournament. Two of them hopefully even aspiring to do better next year. And Salihou, congratulations on a great career. And before we let you go, I want to mention this too because we've had them all win this award over the course of the year, but we haven't had them in yet. Each of you at different times has been the Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week. Salihou, I think we had this one for you earlier on in the season. Howie, we gave you one, I think it was a couple weeks ago or last week when you won regional, so we're going to give you an Action Jackson shirt. Grayson, you took third at the tournament this year, our highest placer this year in the Edmonds School District, so we're going to give you one, so each of you gets your own shirt. And I should ask you that too. What do each of you have a highlight from the year? Because going to Edmonds-Woodway and wrestling at state and things like Gut Chuck and some of the other big tournaments. Salihou, what was your crowning moment of the year when you look back?
Probably when we went to California, San Francisco. That was probably the funnest time of the year, just because you got to spend so much time with the team, and it was just super fun. It was like a new environment, and it was just super cool going on a plane and just riding with the team, and that was awesome.
Very nice. Howie, did you have a favorite moment? I've got to think winning regionals is right up there, right?
Yeah, that was pretty fun. From last year getting fifth to going to win it this year, but California was also pretty nice, and seeing everybody do well down there.
Very good. And then Grayson, for you, taking third at state's got to be a huge highlight. But I know you've won some tournaments throughout the year too. What's your one moment you look back on?
I think probably most fun was California, because it was a tough match to win that one. So that's pretty good.
So a lot of victories from these guys. Again, a big weekend down at state, and they get Action Jackson Plumbing T-shirts to boot. So guys, again, congratulations on a very successful season, and best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you.
You had mentioned that Salihou is also involved in ASB at school, right?
Not only involved, he's the president. So
Wow.
he keeps himself very busy and very active. Not to mention he was also a standout football player this year for the
Yeah.
Warriors. And in talking to him away from camera, it sounds like he, depending on where he ends up going to college, he might play football, he might wrestle, albeit collegiately there's not as many opportunities
Yeah.
around here. But nonetheless, a very impressive young man, and we always enjoy talking to him.
Great. Okay. Well, we have
Swimming.
covered swimming. Yes, we have. Boy, we've gone through so many sports. I'm having a hard time
Hard to
keeping
keep
track.
up.
Swimming, yeah.
So many state championship events this weekend and
Yes.
so little time. Yeah, the swimming championships took place down in Federal Way at the Weyerhaeuser King County Aquatic Center. A number of our local Edmonds School District swimmers were, in fact, down there and had qualified, which is always a big deal in itself. Two of which were in studio with us today. Here are Anthony Edwards and Ben Palmer from the Edmonds-Woodway swimming team, talking about their weekend down in Federal Way as well as their swimming season. The Washington State High School Swimming Championships took place over the weekend down in Federal Way at the Weyerhaeuser King County Aquatic Center. And with us right now, two of the members from the Edmonds-Woodway swimming team, Anthony Edwards, who's a junior, Ben Palmer, who is a senior. And guys, first of all, congratulations on making it to state this year. Always a big accomplishment. When you get to swim down at the Aquatic Center in King County, one of the premier swimming venues really in the nation, where they have Olympic trials from time to time, it's always kind of a special moment. Ben, you've been there a few times now. This is your third year as a competitor down there. What is the event like? What is the magnitude of it all about? I mean, it's got to be special, right?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit overwhelming initially because you come in, you go down, and it's almost like, because it's below ground level, so you come in, it's like a coliseum because there are stands on either side in the competition pool, and there's 3 pools pretty much. So it's always a little bit overwhelming because we never really swim at places like that. But it's always fun to compete there because you're with the best in the state, so it's always fun.
And Anthony, this was your third year of making it as well. Do you have that moment, or did you have that moment maybe back in your freshman year where you walk in and you think, we're not at the Linwood pool anymore?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've always swam there since I was little for club swim and stuff, but when you walk down there and it's like you just jump in the pool and it's just like so much colder than you've been swimming in normally, it just gives you that shock and you're just like, yeah, I'm here. So it's, yeah.
So even the temperature of the pool is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. As far as the weekend itself, before we get into the results, when you have a chance to experience that with your teammates, what is that like? Does it give you a chance to kind of bond even more so than you do during the season, Ben?
Yeah, it's always special because a lot of teams are always tight-knit and they're doing stuff all season, but not a lot of teams get the opportunity to get on the state. So it's always special to kind of be there together and do state and swim the relays together, and because it's just more time spent together and at such a higher level that we're all amping each other up before the races. We're all cheering each other on. It's great team bonding.
Very good. As far as the results themselves, rather than me tell everybody what happened, why don't we have the two of you? You were there, you experienced it. Anthony, maybe I'll start with you. Tell me about the particular events you were participating in and how the weekend went.
Yeah, so on Friday we had preliminaries, and we had a lot of guys going down there. We had 3 relays, and we had a few individuals. I had the 200-yard freestyle and the 500-yard freestyle, my mistake. We had some other guys, Jeff in the 100 backstroke. We had some breaststrokers we had Ethan and Daniel in the 100 breaststroke. So myself, I didn't do the best, but it was nice to have that experience, especially going into next year, knowing how I should approach the meet and how I can do better for next year. So yeah, it was a nice experience.
You mentioned the 200 and the 500 freestyle. How much time in between events? Which one is first, I guess I should ask.
So after the relay, the second event is the 200 freestyle. So this year I was not on the relay, so I had time to prepare for the freestyle. And then after that, there's a little break, but the 500 free approaches pretty quickly, especially if the divers are also at the same time. So it was probably give me like 45 minutes to cool down and get ready for my next race. So.
And the fact that you've been there 2 other times as a state participant, you mentioned obviously you've been there many times just as a club swimmer, but the fact that you've been there before, did you find that maybe your mind was at ease a little bit more this year?
Yeah.
Are there fewer jitters now?
I was definitely not as nervous as I had in the past, but I think that was maybe not a good thing considering that districts I was really nervous and I had some of the best swims of my life. But I think next year I need to really take the week going into the meet to set my mind and get ready to swim. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of a little disappointing, but it was really good to know, especially for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, just getting there is quite the accomplishment. And Ben, for you, I know you were participating on a couple of relay teams this year, right?
Yeah, so I was on 2 of the 3 relays I made at the state this year. The 200-yard medley relay with myself, Jeff Plum, Daniel Eno, and Ethan Wang. And we ended up doing really well. We ended up getting 14th in the state overall on Saturday. So that was a great accomplishment, something that we're really proud of. And then I was also part of the 200 free relay with Nico and Adomi, Daniel Eno, and Anton Teflon, yeah. And that was really cool because that was our best chance at doing well, and we ended up getting 12th that state, which is quite impressive. And then I was not part of the 400-yard relay, but let's see. Logan, Daniel, Ethan, and Nico were on that one, and they ended up getting 15th, which is really impressive because they were seated 16th, and they were down by. They needed to gain 2 seconds in order to make it to 15th spot, and they ended up doing that, which is really cool.
And is it essentially the top 16 swim into Saturday? Is that how that works?
Yeah.
So all 3 relay teams swimming on Saturday?
Yeah, so there was 2 finals. There's a final for the top 8 teams or competitors, and then There's 9th through 16th, which is B final. So we had all 3 relays in that, and that's the first time we've had people swim on the second day in over 2 years. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
And did I understand correctly, Daniel Eno had a nice performance in the 100 breaststroke?
Absolutely, yeah. He exceeded all expectations. I think he was placed around 20th, and he ended up getting 14th in the state, which is really something that we look forward to next year, seeing as he's a junior and he's going to be something special to watch for.
So as you now have time to reflect on the season and where everything ended up, how do you feel about the way everything went down? I've got to think there were quite a few high points in the year as a team, and I know, Anthony, you were talking about some of them before we started rolling. Just overall in the season, when you look back, what are some of the high marks and things you'll take
so
with you?
our season's pretty interesting because for the girls swim season, they just start before school, and then they don't have any breaks or anything, but we kind of have we have winter break in the middle of our season, so our training kind of gets thrown off, especially for vacations and stuff. So we essentially have 2 parts to our season. We have the pre-winter break, and then we have like kind of the championship season. So before winter break, our first meet of the season was against Shorecrest, and we ended up tying with them, which was pretty impressive considering they finished second at districts last year, and they were kind of one of our rivals actually. So like our coach Nolan Welfinger and their coach Scott Kelly, they actually worked together in the summer, coaching a different clubs. So yeah, it was like kind of we wanted to beat them pretty bad. So tying was pretty impressive. And after break, we had another high point against Glacier Peak, which is a 4A school, and they had Matthew King, who is just won the championship in the 50 and 100-yard freestyle, I believe, at the
State
state
championship,
meet.
yeah.
Yeah, so we knocked them off at their home pool, which was pretty cool.
And how about you, Ben? Do you have any particular moments that you reflect back on now? And
Oh, absolutely. At district championship, I was part of the 2 relays, the medley and the 200 free relays I mentioned before, and we broke 2 school records, which is really impressive. And even though it doesn't technically count, I broke the 50-yard freestyle school record in the relay, but it doesn't count as in the relay. And also mentioning records that don't really count, Daniel Eno also broke the 100-yard freestyle record, but it is in the relay.
so just to clarify, when you look at a board that shows school records, the individual records themselves happen in individual events, whereas your
Yeah.
time was good enough to have broken that school record, but since it
Yeah.
was part of a relay team, you don't get credit for that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
But you'll always be able to take that with you, so that's
yeah
gotta be kind
that's
of a
something I
highlight,
can
right?
tell my grandma.
Absolutely. Hey, and as far as you, Anthony, you're a junior, so how does this team look next year? You
Yeah.
have a lot of youth on this team, right?
Yeah, next year we're looking really good, especially considering that we broke 3 school records with only like 1 senior on 2 of the relays, and yeah, the rest of the relays consist of juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. So some of our young talent that I'd like to just kind of give them a shout out. So Anton, he's a sophomore this year, and next year he's looking really good, especially considering that this year going into the season he wasn't even kind of on the radar for the A relay spot, and then he ended up being at state and being one of the like top swimmers on our team. And same with Logan Stinchius, he did really well in his individuals at districts and made it to state in the 500-yard freestyle. Yeah, and some other guys can include Jeff Plum, who is a freshman. He got to state in the 100-yard backstroke, and he was also on 2 relays. So we're just looking really good for next year. Yeah, only missing a few seniors and a lot of young talent
So
coming
you
up.
mentioned a lot of sophomores and freshmen there. You're going to be
Yeah.
the old man of the group next year
Yeah.
as a senior.
Yeah, I think we only have about 4 seniors. So me, Krithik Durasamy, Daniel Eno, and Lucas Mraz. So yeah,
Very nice.
3 of us made it to state. So yeah, I mean, we still have a lot of guys in the back though for the next few years that will carry on the team to state meet and hopefully maybe some championships.
Very good. And Ben, you're going to miss the ride, I guess. You're a senior this year. So
Yeah.
what does the future hold for you? Any aspirations to swim later on down the road? Or
Well, probably not swim competitively, but I'd love to swim for a club team at whatever college I go to.
And any ideas where you want to go to school yet? Or have you kind of...
Well, I think if everything goes to plan, I'd love to go to University of Wisconsin. That's my high hope. But as of now, I've already been accepted to Marquette. So
Another school located in Wisconsin, so okay.
yeah,
Family from the Midwest then, or is that...
yeah. Actually, my older brother as well as both my parents. My older brother is attending with University of Wisconsin right now, and my mother and my father attended there, and my father actually swam D1 for the Wisconsin rowing team.
Oh, very good. Before we we move on to other topics, I want to finish up the swimming topic with mention of coaches. Who are some of the coaches over at Edmonds-Woodway that have been influential for you guys and to help the Warriors get to where they are this year? Anthony, maybe I'll have you start off with one of them.
Yeah, so one of our coaches, well, our head coach, Nolan Welfinger, he was not my coach freshman year, but last year he was a new hire, and I was kind of nervous to get a new coach, but I really enjoyed his coaching, and he's just it's just great to swim for him. And our assistants this year, we had a new assistant, Michael, and one of our girls who graduated a few years ago, Emily. She also was an assistant coach during the winter season. Yeah.
And Ben, how influential is a swimming coach? I mean, what are they able to provide you with during the course of a season?
Well, it's incredibly important to have a good swim coach that can help you push yourself as a swimmer, but also make it so you enjoy swimming. And that's something that really Nolan has really perfected for the team. He pushes us to do our best, and that's really shown in our results this season. But he makes it so we all enjoy swimming. He really brings us together as someone he's really personable, and it's just fun to be around him and have him as coach.
Sounds like it was a pretty good season all around then.
Absolutely.
Very nice. And now looking forward to the rest of your school year, Anthony, you just spent your weekend down in Federal Way for the swimming championships. You're going to travel a little further than that for your for some of your music endeavors. Tell me a little bit about the Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival that the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors are heading off to.
Yeah, so the jazz ensemble, all three of them, will be heading to Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival at the University of Idaho in Moscow. So probably about 60 of us are heading over there Thursday, and we'll be there the whole weekend. So hopefully we have some good performance there too.
And what instrument do you play?
I'm a drummer. So yeah, me and Muriel getting on the drums, and then we have a young jazz band too. So next year we're looking pretty good.
So it's much like the swimming program. It's just going to keep building and maybe go a little further. And
next year, I'm really looking forward to next school year already, even with all these months left in the school year. So.
Maybe getting back to Ellington, is that the plan?
Yeah, that's a good goal for our jazz band, Ellington. Yeah.
And as far as the actual festival coming up this coming weekend over in Moscow, Idaho, do we know how many schools are going to be involved? Or
we have lots of local area schools that will probably be at the essentially Ellington Festival too. So it would be nice to place in front of them, which would be kind of impressive. So Roosevelt, Garfield, Mountlake Terrace will probably be over there. So yeah, lots of local high schools as well.
So he's competing in the swimming pool as well as on the music front as well. And then Ben, for you, I know you're involved with quite a few activities at school.
So at Woodway, I'm part of the International Baccalaureate program, which is a lot of time outside of the pool spent doing homework and studying. But along with that, as when I'm not swimming, I like to participate in the science club as well as Hercules Club, which is a cancer awareness, which is something that me and my friend started this year, who's also a swimmer, but then wasn't able to make it to state this year, Edward Kim. That's something we work really hard to make, and we're hoping to really fund some cancer awareness out there.
Yeah, great for you guys for doing that. So IB member, and then also we've got a running start here, right, Anthony? So are you how many periods of the day are you gone for?
I'm taking 2 classes there. Taking college calculus and taking some money management, finance program. So I'm part of IB too, partial IB at school as well. So just a good mixture of sports and school and all that stuff.
Good mixture, and 2 very busy young men right here. So Anthony, Ben, again, congratulations on making it to the state championships this year.
Thank you.
Down in Federal Way, and best of luck the rest of the school year for you guys.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's always nice to see the swimmers come in at the end of the season. They're relaxed and they're ready to eat, which is why they left with bagels today.
Swimmers, wrestlers, they're all ready to get their nutrients in now that their seasons are over, and they don't have to worry as much about what they're eating.
That's right.
Although I think most of the athletes we have in here still keep pretty good control over what they eat all year round, and most of them have other sports coming up as well.
That's right, yeah. Well, and speaking of sports still to come, we still have some basketball to look forward to in the next couple weeks, or week anyway.
Yeah, big games coming up for Mountlake Terrace boys and Linwood girls. We certainly wish them well, and we will get you all those results from the regional action next week, and hopefully we're talking about some state games coming up after that.
That would be great, and believe it or not, even though there's been snow on the ground recently, we are looking at spring sports soon.
Yeah, hard to believe, right?
Yeah, really hard to
all of
believe.
our outdoor sports, the weather needs to clear up a little bit, and for the sake of the folks who cover it and the parents who go and watch, hopefully it gets about 20 or 30 degrees warmer too in the next few weeks.
That would be nice, but no guarantees. We
No,
never know
not around here.
Okay, all right. Well, have a good week, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.